Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a thought experiment that is terrifying, but honestly, absolutely fascinating. It's one of those scenarios that sounds like it's pulled straight from a big-budget sci-fi movie. We're going to ask a remarkably simple question, but as you'll see, the answer is incredibly complex and gets right to the core of the physical laws governing our reality. So strap in, because we're about to explore the catastrophic consequences of a still Earth.
Section 1. Life at 1,670 kilometers. The speed of our reality. We really have to ask ourselves to imagine the sudden, chaotic reality if our constantly rotating planet abruptly froze in place. Have you ever actually wondered what that would look like? Would you just spill your morning coffee, or are we talking about total planetary chaos in a matter of seconds? Let's find out. To understand this, we've got to look at the number 1,670. Right now, if you're anywhere near the equator, you are moving at about 1,670 kilometers per hour. That is a staggering speed. To put that into perspective, you're traveling faster than most commercial airplanes. And yet, sitting here right now, everything feels perfectly still, doesn't it? We don't notice this massive speed because literally everything around us, the air, the oceans, the buildings, and our own bodies, is spinning together in perfect unison. We're all just passengers on this high-speed ride, totally oblivious to our own momentum. Section 2. The force of inertia. When the ground stops, but you don't. So the real culprit here is inertia. You know the rule? Objects in motion stay in motion. If the Earth acts like a car suddenly slamming on its brakes, all of that massive kinetic energy has to go somewhere. Your body doesn't just neatly stop. You, along with the cars, the trees, and the buildings around you, would be thrown forward with devastating force. Basically, anything that isn't firmly anchored deep into the planet's bedrock just keeps moving at over 1,600 kilometers per hour. The reality on the surface in those first few seconds, absolute immediate chaos. Think about huge skyscrapers. They're engineered to hold vertical weight, right? They're absolutely not built to absorb a sudden 1,600 kilometer per hour stop. They would collapse instantly, shearing right off their foundations. Vehicles would become literal high-speed projectiles. People, furniture, unattached objects, all thrown forward violently. With that sheer amount of kinetic energy turning everyday objects into weapons, almost nothing on the surface remains untouched. The world as we know it is basically flattened in a heartbeat. Section 3. Winds and megatsunamis, the elements unleashed. But the solid ground is only half the story. Think about our atmosphere. It's essentially a massive, heavy blanket of gas, and it isn't anchored down. So when the solid surface of the Earth stops instantly, all that air just keeps right on moving. This massive difference in speed creates supersonic winds moving significantly faster than the speed of sound. This global gale would act like a planetary sandblaster, violently ripping entire forests apart and flattening any reinforced structures that somehow survived the initial jolt. And oh man, we can't forget about the oceans. Water carries immense mass, and all of that staggering momentum would unleash massive walls of water, far, far larger than any tsunami ever recorded in human history. These apocalyptic mega tsunamis would rush violently inland, flooding coastlines globally in a matter of minutes. Whether you live right on the beach or hundreds of miles inland, this rushing water would destroy everything in its path, leaving almost nowhere to hide. Section 4. A world of extremes. The long-term aftermath. Let's say you somehow survive the kinetic chaos and the floods. Things actually just get stranger from here. Because the Earth is no longer rotating, a single day would now last an entire year. The planet becomes starkly divided into two incredibly hostile environments. One side faces 6 solid months of continuous baking sun. Deserts and temperate zones alike turn into giant uninhabitable ovens. Conversely, the other side is plunged into 6 months of total freezing darkness, covering huge areas in thick ice. You're left with a boiling hemisphere and a freezing hemisphere, meaning the only place remotely suitable for life would be a tiny, narrow twilight strip right on the border of those two extremes. Furthermore, there's a massive unseen threat happening deep underground. Earth spinning actually acts like a giant dynamo, generating its internal magnetic field inside the planet's core. If the Earth comes to a permanent stop, that internal engine essentially breaks, causing the magnetic field to weaken over time. Eventually, our planet's invisible protective shield disappears entirely. Without it, lethal space radiation would easily reach the surface, stripping away the atmosphere and making survival for any remaining life forms practically impossible. Section 5. Why we are safe. The reality check. Okay, take a deep breath. That is the ultimate question hanging in the air right now. After visualizing such massive planetary scale destruction, supersonic winds, extreme temperatures, creeping radiation, we have to ask, could this really happen? Is there any scenario where our planet just abruptly halts? The short, definitive, and incredibly relieving answer is no. Absolutely not. The Earth is not going to suddenly stop spinning. You can officially cancel your plans to bolt your living room furniture to the floor. Physics is totally on our side here. The sheer amount of energy required to halt the momentum of an entire planet is so unimaginably immense that there is absolutely no known natural event capable of doing it instantly. We are talking about forces that simply do not exist in our solar system. The massive kinetic energy of our spinning globe just cannot be deleted or paused by any sudden event.
So tonight, step outside, look up at the stars, and let this whole crazy thought experiment foster a deep appreciation for the invisible mechanics keeping us safe. Just think about this. You're standing on a giant planet, spinning through space at over 1,600 kilometers per hour, and you don't even feel it. Our world is keeping us perfectly in motion every single day. Makes you wonder what other massive, invisible forces are shaping our reality right now without us even noticing. Keep exploring those wild what-if questions because they always lead to the most fascinating answers. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.